Welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video also we'll be covering the Adam Smith theory of development. I hope you have gone through my previous video which deals with the part 1 of Adam Smith theory of development. In that video I have already told that this particular topic is divided into two segments, and this is the part 2 of the discussion. And if you haven't watched the part 1, please go and watch part 1 and then come back and watch this video, so that you'll be getting a very better understanding of this particular concept. Having said so, let's go to the video. So we have seen that the Adam Smith theory of economic development was set in the background of laissez-faire economy by giving importance to the superiority of natural laws rather than man-made laws, by giving importance to the non-intervention of the government, etc., etc. So having said so, it's very important to understand the role of investment and the role of saving, and also the role of interest rate in the Adam Smith theory of economic development. All these three things are identified as something that are something which play a very important role in the theory of economic development proposed by Adam Smith. As we all know, here Adam Smith belongs to the group of classical economists, and not only Adam Smith but also the other classical economists believe that there exists a wage fund, and the importance of wage fund was highlighted by the classical economist school, or the classical school of economists. Okay, now coming to the idea of wage fund, especially when it comes to the scenario of economic development and all, wage fund play a very important role. And when I say wage fund, it is out of this fund wages are paid to the laborers. Okay, and the idea is that the wage tend to equal to the amount of necessary for the substance of the laborers. That is, it is out of the wage fund, wages are paid to the laborers, and what is paid to the laborers is just it is just substance wage. Substance wage means that the wages which are just able to satisfy the subsistence needs of the laborers. So above substance wage, nothing is paid to the wage laborers. So whatever is paid to the laborers is substance wage, only that. Okay, now if the total wage at any point of time, if it is higher than the substance wage rate, what happens is that the laborers will increase, because workers know that the wages are increasing in the labor market. As a result, there would be a rush of laborers to join the labor market. Okay, as a result, there would be competition for employment. As a result of this competition, what happens is that wages would be made to come down to the substance level. So this is what is happening in the labor market. Even at the for today, what you could see the same thing. If there is an increase in the demand for employment, what happens is that wages would be brought down in order to employ more laborers. And if there is less demand for employment, what happens is that wage would be made to go up. As a result, there would be more demand for employment. So there would be all these kinds of things like demand supply mismatch would be equalized by the interest rate or price or whatever it is in the market. Okay, so if it is in the money market, it is the interest rate that play a very important role, or if it is in the case of a usual market or a commodity market, it is the price that plays a very important role, or it plays a role of a mediator that play between the demand and supply in order to bring out a balance between the demand and supply, whether it is money market or the commodity market. Okay, now coming back to the theory of economic development proposed by Adam Smith, Adam Smith believed that under stationary condition, wages fall, and this fall would be there till wages come to the substance level. Okay, so this is very important to understand why wages come to the substance level, and what is the role of capital accumulation or capital formation in leading to the economic growth and development, especially when it comes to the theory of economic development proposed by Adam Smith. Now he says that, Adam Smith says that the extent to which all these things depends upon the rate of population growth in the economy. If there would be higher rate of population growth, one case would be the scenario, and if there is less rate of growth of population, there would be other scenario. Okay, thus he has concluded that the wage fund could be raised by increasing the rate of investment or net investment in the economy. So when I say net investment, that is the gross investment minus depreciation. When I say depreciation here, it is not the wear and tear of machineries and all. It means the all the extra payments given to like in order to make all the like interest payment and all, so all the extra payments given from your hand. So after deducting all these extra payments, what you have with you is the net amount with you. Now, coming to the Smithian concept of economic development, according to Smith, investment is very much important because it plays a very important role to the capitalist, because for capitalists, investment is essential and inevitable in order to earn profit. And when a country develops, what happens is that its capital stock would expand and the rate of profit would decline. This is a very important concept of Adam Smith theory of economic development. This particular sentence, or this very sentence itself, is able to explain the Adam Smith theory of economic development. That is, when a country develops, what happens is that its capital stock would increase and the rate of profit would decline in due time. This is the entire theory of Adam Smith theory of economic development. Okay, now in this case, what happens is that there would be increase in competition among the capitalists, and this would raise the wage rate in the economy, and as a result of increase in wage rate, what happens is that the capitalists would be left with less profit. So this will lead to lessening of profits in the economy. So it is a great difficulty in finding new profitable investment outlets that lead to falling profits. Okay, so when wages increases, what happens is that the industrialists or the companies or the people who are employing the laborers, they have to pay more to the laborers. As a result, less would be left with them. So this would influence their profit, and so they would be left with less profit. Okay, now coming to the role of investment, according to Smith, a negatively sloped supply curve of capital implies a supply of capital increase in response to declining the interest rate. So when you have less interest rate, what happens is that you will invest more, and when you have more high interest rate, you will invest less. If, for example, just consider the case of a bank loan. You are planning to make some investment, but you don't have money with you. As a result, you are thinking that you would go to the bank and you will take some loan, or you will borrow some amount from the bank. Okay, and in this case, what is the scenario? You have to pay interest to the bank. So you will be calculating the interest rates, and then you will be deciding. So it is in the interest rate that plays a very important role, which influence your decision regarding your investment. If the interest rate is high, then you will be thinking that I have to pay more and more every month because the interest rate is growing or the interest rate is rising. So you will decide that you will not go for investment. So the supply of investment would be less. What happens if the interest rate falls? So if the interest rate falls, you will be thinking that it is better for me to go and take an investment because I have to pay less to the bank in the form of interest rate. So it's better for me to go and make some investment out of the borrowing that I have taken from the bank. So there exists a negative relationship between investment and rate of interest. So according to Smith, with the increasing the prosperity, progress and population, what happens is that the rate of interest would fall or it would come down, and as a result, capital would be augmented. Okay, with the fall in the interest rate, money lenders will be more. So these people, money lenders, it's very important to understand the role of money lenders over here. Money lenders, when there would be rise in the interest rate, these are the people who would gain more profit. Okay, but because they are expecting to get more profit, but if the interest rate fall, what happens is that the money lenders will be able to lend more, because there will be demand for investment. If for those people who are not able to take this loans from the bank, they will come to the money lenders to borrow more. So as a result, if the interest rate fall, money lenders will be able to earn more. So if I have told you the other way around, I'm really sorry, this is the case. If the interest rate fall, money lenders will be able to gain more. Okay, so this will help in raising the standard of living of the people in the economy. This is not only with respect to the money lenders who are lending the money to the people, but also who are taking the money from the money lenders. Okay, because since the common people have money with them, they will be spending a lot. As a result, there will be an increase in their standard, or there would be an improvement in their standard of living. So, since money lenders could lend a lot of money, and they would be getting more profit with them, profit in the sense that they would be getting more return in the form of interest rate for them. As a result, they too would be having more money with them, and as a result, their standard of living too would increase. So in total, you can see that the total economy would be improving, or the economy as such would be expanding or improving, or the welfare rate of the economy would be improving. Okay, thus the quantity of capital for lending will increase with the fall in the rate of interest rate. But when the rate of interest falls, what happens is that, or it falls considerably, what happens is that money lenders would be unable to lend more and more in order to earn more profit, or in order to improve their standard of living. So it is very much important to understand that there is a limit to which you can see a fall in the rate of interest, you can see a fall in the wage rate and all. So if this limit is crossed, that will result in destruction of the entire economy. So up to a particular limit, you fall in the interest rate, fall in the wage rate, etc., will be helping the economy to revive, or to prosper. But after this point, what happens is that after this point, if the interest rate or the wage rate falls, then it would hamper the economy, or it would affect the economy negatively. Under these circumstances, what happens is that so these people, the people who go for lending money, they would be thinking that it is better for me to go and make investment. So they will invest, and they will try to become entrepreneurs by themselves. According to Smith, economic progress involves rise in money as well as rise in rental share of national income. This is because the landowners, they are closely related to general interest of the society. This is the assumption of this particular theory. Okay, now coming to another important point, agents of growth. According to Smith, farmers, producers, businessmen, etc., these people are the economic agents, or these are the agents of economic growth. Okay, so it was free trade enterprise competition that lead farmers, producers, and businessmen to expand the market, which in turn will make the economic development interrelated. Okay, the development of agriculture, as we all know, it is something that benefits not only agriculture, but also this would benefit the other sectors in the economy as well. For example, when agriculture surplus arises, what happens is that the demand for commercial services and manufactured articles also rises. For example, if there is a demand for agricultural products or agricultural produce, what happens is that there would be more demand for more production. Okay, in order to produce more, there will be more demand for tractors, there will be more demand for educational facilities, there would be more demand for transportation of agriculture produce to the market. So as we all know, transport is a different sector, that is a service sector. Then tractors, manufacturing and all comes under manufacturing sector, or the secondary sector. And from this very example itself, we will be able to understand how improvement or how expansion of the agricultural facilities or agricultural sector itself is improving, or itself is acting as a pathway to the development of the other sectors in the economy. Okay. Now, when all the sectors developed, what happens is that there would be an entire commercial process, there would be an entire development, there would be the development of the entire economy. Okay, thus capital accumulation and economic development take place due to the emergence of farmer, producer and businessmen, as per Adam Smith. Now coming to the process of economic growth, in the words of Adam Smith, we can see that taking institutional, political and natural factors for granted, uh, actually Smithian theory of economic development, it starts from the assumption that social group uh, would call it a nation, uh, and the nation would experience a certain rate of economic growth that is accounted by the increase in the numbers and increase in the savings. Okay, this induces a widening of the market, which in turn increases the division of labor, productivity, and as a result what happens is that the economy will grow like a tree. As we all know, a tree has got many branches, so like this the economy would grow like a tree. Okay, and this result in the entire expansion of the economy, or the expansion of the entire economy itself. But it is very important to note that this is not an endless process. This will definitely have an end, and this end is brought about by many factors. For example, Adam Smith himself says that there would be some kind of disturbances which are brought down, or which are brought about by the external factors, or external factors which are basically non-economic, and as a result there would be some disturbances creating in the economy, and this would hamper the growth of economic process. Okay, or the process of economic growth would be hampered by many disturbances. Now, we know that the division of labor, which we have already discussed, specialization of labor, which we have already discussed, all these things are made possible by the accumulation of capital and expansion of the market, and which in turn this will increase the national income output, and which again will facilitate saving, investment, etc., and the ultimate result is economic development. But as we have already said, this process is not endless. This will have an end. This process, if it continues like this, will lead to a state which is known as the stationary state, and stationary state is a dull phase of an economy, and it is a state which is marked by the end of natural resources, the sluggish growth rate, or there would be an end of the growth, and economy, when we simply say if it is in the stationary growth rate, then there would be an unchanged population, constant total income, subsistence wage rate. Laborers won't be paid above the subsistence wage rate. There would be elimination of profit, especially when it comes to excess profit and all. Don't even think about it. You don't get even normal profit. So that is the case, and don't even think about the case of net investment, because you won't be able to see any positive net investment, full of risk. So this is the case of stationary state, and in the opinion of Adam Smith, an economy would be in the stationary state if it is characterized by all these things, like unchanged population, constant total income, subsistence wage rate, elimination of profit, etc., etc. And if it is in a stationary state, what happens is that the economy itself is at a highest risk of uh, problems, because its natural resources will be stagnant, its natural resources will experience scarcity, so everywhere there would be problem, and the competition for employment would reduce the wages to the subsistence level, and profit would be brought down, and investment would start declining, and as a result the capitalist would go to a stationary state. And when this happens, the capital accumulation would stop. As we have already discussed, Adam Smith has given importance to capital accumulation, and he says that this is the starting point of his theory of economic growth. And the population would also will become stationary, profit would become minimum, wages would be just subsistence wage level, and there won't be any change in the per capita income, production, and the economy will result in a state of, or the economy will reach a state called stagnation. And in short, we could see that the stationary state is a dull, declining and melancholy life, and it is very much hard to live in a stationary state, because everything would be miserable in a stationary state. Everything positive would be declining. So if you look at the diagram which is explained by Smith, you could see how the economy go from um, um, like a sluggish type of growth rate to expanding phase to stationary state. Here in the x-axis we measure time, and along the y-axis we measure the rate of capital accumulation. You can see that from K to L the economy is actually growing. Okay, and after T what happens is that, or after L what happens is that the economy will go in a constant manner. That is, there won't be any rise in the wages, there won't be any rise in the profit, there won't be any capital accumulation. That is, this is known as from L onwards or from T onwards, what you could see is the stationary state. And thus it could be concluded that Professor Smith did not propound any scientific theory or any specific theory of economic growth, but he has explained his concepts of economic growth by linking several aspects of macroeconomics, and he has taken many unrealistic assumptions. That is very much sure. You can criticize all his assumptions if you are very thorough with the theory. And also it's important to understand that his book Wealth of Nation is considered to be the book itself is considered to be the theory of economic development. In that book he has written well in detail all his assumptions, all his arguments, all his viewpoints, etc., etc. So if you get a chance to go through that book, it is well and good. It is well and good to go through the book, because in that book everything is clearly explained. So with that we end today's video. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you for watching.